Hello, my name is Jamie White, and this is Global Diversity News. On today's GDN Business Podcast, I sit down and speak with Mario Lee, Director of Development and Acquisitions at Birdiefoods LLC. We discuss how to start and operate a franchising business and the multiple opportunities within the franchising industry. As always, please like, subscribe, and follow us and leave a comment. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Hello, my name is Jamie White, here with Global Diversity News once again. For today's podcast, I have with me Mario Lee. Mario, how's it going?
Thank you for having me on your show, Jamie, and I am excited and looking forward to speaking to you and your audience.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I actually received your contact from Jerry Fernandez over at Multicultural Food and Hospitality Alliance. And today, we want to focus on franchising and the franchising opportunities that are available for those who are interested in it. So before we get into the nitty gritty, if you will, of franchising, tell me a little bit about yourself and your work with Birdie Foods, correct?
Yes, presently I am with the company Birdiefoods. We are out of the Bay Area. That's where our office is. We are a group that recently purchased Sonic restaurants in Denver, Colorado. We entered into a development agreement with the Sonic Corporation to build 16 more locations over the next 10 years. And the other piece in our company, what we do is we go out and acquire restaurant packages. Right now, we are in the burger side of the food industry, so we're restricted to do any other burger acquisitions, meaning like McDonald's or Burger King. But we are able to go out and do sandwich and do chicken and family dining. And so that's basically what we do. Our goal is to be $100 million company, and we are up to close to 20 million now. So we have a little ways to go.
Okay. Why the sandwich restriction or burger restriction?
Basically, when you get with a mainstream franchisor, like in our case, you are restricted to have, you can't do the same thing. It's like it's the competition. The group we have, obviously, we do hamburgers, so we cannot do Burger King or Carl's Jr. because each of those companies, as well as the Sonic Group, you're restricted to do the competitor's brand. So once you enter into that agreement, you're done. Now, if you're a private company, obviously, you can go out and open up your own hamburger stand. But if you want to keep that company and go into a franchisee situation, you cannot do it because, once again, these mainstream franchisors have that locked down. And that's just to protect their company, obviously.
Okay, so just in case, so make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Basically, if you're an individual and you contract with Sonic, you can't go into Burger King or McDonald's or whatnot. But if you're a private company, you can.
No, you can't either because even if you're a private company and you're serving burgers, I guarantee you, Carl's Jr., all of their agreements, it's going to lock you out.
Gotcha. What happens?
You cannot do it. So, right.
Yeah. What happens if you open up a Carl's Jr. and then, for example, and then sell it? Then can you go over to like a Burger King or a?
Yes, but once again, too, you probably have some limited time on your agreement. So you might have, it could be up to 2 years before you can actually enter into that burger side of the industry. So once again, you need to do your due diligence and understand what you're getting into, because when you go into a franchisee situation, you have a lot of different restrictions and a lot of different agreements that you have to follow.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So, but I'm guessing you can do something like own a Carl's Jr. and like a Taco Bell or something, because they wouldn't be burger.
Absolutely, yes.
Gotcha.
Right, they're not competing against each other. Yes, correct.
That's interesting. What other franchise qualifications are there outside of burgers? I'm just. Just curious.
Well, the industry the industry is pretty interesting. There's different types of franchises that you can get into. It's the food industry obviously is the most appealing,
Right.
because it is very lucrative if you can get into the right franchise situation, and you can be quite successful. Once again, it's to get into, let's say, a Taco Bell, you are talking, obviously, you're going to have a certain net worth to be able to even be qualified to become a franchisee. And then, of course, you have to have the right funds to do it. But there are other franchise situations out there that I recommend to people, when they call me all the time, what can they get into? How can they get into a franchise situation and it's not going to break the bank? And, I was talking to some individuals not too long ago, and they wanted to get into some franchise situations. And what I always want to talk to people about is, so what interests you? What is your background? Are you into landscaping? Are you into beauty products? And it's always important to go into something that you have at least some experience in, because once again, you're talking an investment. Maybe you are into pet care. Maybe you have a background in recruiting. There are companies out there literally with support systems in their company for franchisees, literally in every segment and every category. You just have to spend your time to figure out what suits you, what kind of money you want to put in to invest. And because remember, you're going to be putting your life into this. You're talking, basically 7 days a week, no days off, no vacations, because once you enter into one of these type of programs, you have a lot of money on the line. A lot of folks end up leaving their jobs, and so they're really putting everything into one basket. So it's going to be really important. But no, there's a slew. And Jamie, what I'll do is I'll supply you with some of the various different type of franchise programs that you can get into.
Oh, that's perfect.
Myself, my experience is the food industry, and I like to stay within the food industry because that is what I know.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So, I would definitely appreciate that piece. But I do like the fact that you mentioned that not all franchisees are the big names like the Sonics or the McDonald's or Burger King, whatever that you may hear. But there's also other opportunities for those who are interested. Moving on that, or I guess expanding on that, let's go and talk about the process of starting and qualifying for a franchise, because maybe people don't know exactly what the steps are to even getting a franchise.
Sure. Yeah, I actually have a process that I go through when I'm talking to individuals. And the reason why is because one, I don't want to steer anyone the wrong way. I like to be very honest with them and to try to help them even qualify themselves that they're the right person to even enter into this. So I always like to go into the self-evaluation. Are you willing, to work long hours? Weekends. Remember, a lot of folks
what do you mean by long hours?
Long hours. We're talking, 15, 16 hours a day.
Okay.
Remember, this is your own business now. Most of these folks are leaving the private sector of a corporation that they have had that umbrella with for years, working from 9 to 5. And now they're looking at a different commitment. And if I try to be very clear with individuals, you're going to put a lot of time in. You're going to probably be working on the weekends. You're probably going to be, even if you're off on a Sunday, you're probably going to be doing paperwork on doing your financials on that day. So, at least this is going to go on for quite a while until you actually establish that business.
How long does that take? A couple of years, couple of months?
It can take anywhere, 6 months to a year to, remember, that this is the time that you're going to have to be putting in. In a lot of cases, it's going to be a couple as well. So this is going to be, you and your spouse, possibly putting the time in too. But anyway, so that self-evaluation piece is important. Are you ready? Do you have the adequate, savings? You have to evaluate your savings, your real estate, your securities. Because remember, a lot of these different areas are going to have to come together to possibly finance, the venture that you're getting into. The other thing that I like to talk to individuals about is, you need to pick a franchise consultant, a person like me or someone that has been through the process, lives the process, and understands it. The industry, like I said, there's a lot of different franchise opportunities out there, but you need to understand what are the pitfalls. And there are a lot of pitfalls out there. I mean, even with mainstream franchise companies, let's say that you find a franchise. Let's just pick one. Let's say you find a Taco Bell in New Mexico, and the price seems to be right. Well, there could be some problems there. There could be problems in the sales. There could be problems in the lease. There's just a lot of things that you have to be very careful of. You need to understand, how long, the transferring of the franchise license, how much is that going to cost you? How many years can you get on the lease? So there's just a lot of things that I like to make sure that folks pick someone to be a partner with them, a franchise consultant, someone that is going to be honest with them and help them understand. The other thing is to look at the organization. We call this Discovery Day.
Okay.
And it's a meeting between the franchisor and the potential franchisee. And it's usually at their corporate office. If it's not at their corporate office, I would have a red flag right there too. And it's usually when you would either, if they're local, you would go down or you would fly in, and they will give you tours of their departments, their training, and their support, because you want to understand the reason why you're becoming a franchisee is you want to understand what kind of support you're going to get to be successful in their organization.
Quick question before you continue on that part. Why would you have a red flag if you're not meeting at their corporate office?
Well, the red flag would be if this is a reputable franchisor, and and their Discovery Day is not. Let's say they want you to meet, in an off-premise at a hotel, wherever, and it might be fine. But it concerns me. You want to go in and you want to meet their executive team. In a lot of cases, I am actually going with a group in a few weeks to a mainstream franchise a company, and the CEO is going to be there. I have met many CEOs at these Discovery Days, because remember, you're entering into a partnership with these individuals. And once again, you want to tour it. You want to tour their departments. You want to shake the hands of, their trainers, their support teams. You want to be able to have questions. You want to feel that franchise organization. And to me, myself, I would like to definitely go to their corporate office, at least somewhere. Maybe your first discovery meeting is maybe somewhere else. But at some point before you sign that contract, you want to go to their corporate office.
Okay.
Then the other thing too, and this is something that is very important. You want to understand that this organization is meeting all the federal guidelines. So you want to get a hold of what you call the Franchise Disclosure Document, FDD. That's what we call it. It's a legal document through the Federal Trade Commission. And all franchisors have to provide this at least 2 weeks prior to the sale, 14 days prior to the sale. And this is, I call it due diligence, because this information here gives you everything in their organization when it comes to what kind of sales the corporation is have, what type of royalty fees, advertising fees. It even lists all their franchisees in there that you can call up And if to ask questions about the business, are they happy? What are some of the things that you ran into during, being a franchisor? So,
Okay.
the FDD is something that is mandatory to get a hold of and do your due diligence with that.
Okay. I guess let's kind of summarize a little bit in terms of how to move forward. So we've taken a look at our franchisees. We've picked one out. We've met them at we've gotten the consultant. Make sure that our finances are in order. We've met them at their headquarters, and we've signed the contract. Right. What's next in terms of the?
Right. Yeah. We would.
Oh, am I missing anything?
Well, yeah. Well, see, so we kind of stepped through a few little things there. Let me, So stepping back just a little bit, we talked about the Discovery Day.
Yep.
You talked to some already existing franchisees, like you said. You want to make sure that this business that you're going to go in with them, if it's existing or you're going to put up a new one, it is a suitable location.
Okay.
There's just a lot of pitfalls that you run into that you might think it's a great location because for whatever reason you actually need to do a full demographic study of the area. You want to know the income level. You want to know the traffic counts. On the streets. You want to.
How do you get that information?
And you want to just look into how are the other businesses doing. Usually, if you're dealing with a broker, let's say on a site, they can give you get that information for you. The franchise or that you are working with, actually, they can supply that information for you as well. You are in a kind of a difficult situation because if you're not the franchisee yet, sometimes they don't want to provide that information to you. But if they really want you to become a franchisor, franchisee with them, they should be able to help you out. And then, of course, you just can go on and do your own homework too. There's a lot of information on the census study that tells you about the communities, the income level, the demographics of the community as well. You can go down to the Chamber of Commerce, you can pick up a lot of information from them too. So, yes, you're going to have a lot of groundwork that you're going to need to do, personally, myself, before you sign that contract on that particular franchise that you're looking for. You want to make sure that you're going to be successful. Then, of course, before that, you want to secure your funding. And, and it just depends what kind of franchisee. If you're going into, let's say, the restaurant industry, you're going to need to secure some funding as well, because if you're going to buy an existing location, let's say for $1 million, you're going to need to have, unless you have that kind of fund sitting around, you're going to need to secure that fund with with a bank, or you could try to get a small business loan. I mean, there's just, you want to get a home equity line or credit, whatever way you're going to go to try to get, to get the funds to do this. And now we lead into what you were talking of, signing the agreement. And of course, you're going to need to seek counsel, and you want to get, obviously, a lawyer with franchise experience. That is going to be key to this. You don't want to get a real estate, even though you're going to need that person maybe down the road, a real estate lawyer, but you need to get a lawyer that understands how to look at these contracts, in a franchise agreement. And then once you have signed that, then you go into the local government agency to get the necessary permits, and then of course your insurance, for the particular business.
Okay, and this is actually some really good information. I didn't realize it was this. Well, you don't really think about every step that you have to take in order to create a franchise, and it's a lot of work here. This sounds like this can take months, being generous, to really complete, to even
Well, I can
start.
give you some examples.
Yeah.
I can give you some. I know an individual that uh, started working with now this is the ground up, of course, building a location, and they started roughly 2 years ago, and they have 2 more months to go before they open the door.
Huh.
So that's worst case.
Yeah, I mean,
Worst case
ground up.
scenarios.
That's
Now,
there's no
right,
building there, and
right, exactly, exactly. And now, and that person is going to be into roughly $5 million in that particular one property. Now, you can go in and buy an existing franchise that is already operating. You already know the sales because you did your due diligence with the seller, and you can close those anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
okay,
Those particular type of packages.
okay. Which one's usually more expensive, starting from the ground? Well, not ground up, but starting your own franchisee or purchasing one out.
That's a very good question, and that's a question that comes up all the time. It's kind of like you pay for what you get. So let's say we like to always, or myself personally, and the folks that I work with all the time, you want to have what you call an average volume of the business. Now, sure, I'm talking restaurants right now, but it could be a lube and tune, a place where you get your cars tuned up. It could be Mary Maids. It could be whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want to, if it's an existing business, then you want to know what is the average annual revenue that is being brought in for that particular franchise. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say $1 million.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, easy.
So that is going to be the annual, right? But when you're going, that's for purchase, but if you're going ground up, you really don't know what the sales are. You're hoping, you've done your homework, you've done everything. And let me tell you something, you've heard this story before, that the restaurant industry especially is probably one of the most dangerous industries to invest in, because there has been countless individuals that have opened up restaurants and they go bust, or some of them, they just go off the Richter scale and become the extremely high volume, and they're printing money. So it's a gamble. Myself personally, I like to buy an existing. What the volume is. Sometimes you pay a little bit more for it, and then go into a development agreement after that, because now you have what you call a base that is in place. So now you have your revenue coming in. You know what you already have your budgets. So if you do have a business that you open up within that same franchise group, and it's not as successful, or it needs building time, you can weather that storm.
Because you know how to create a successful business. That makes sense. Okay. So with that, just follow up on that. So you've got all that in place and whatnot. Now I'm pretty sure there's a question you get all the time, which is, when am I going to be a billionaire? How long does it take to right? How long does it take, now that you've gotten everything, to break even? Honestly, let's start there. How long does it take to break even?
So well, that is the break even, and what we do is we do our pro forma on a business, and especially when it's a new business or a new enterprise, and you can only take the information of what is given to you. Let's say you're going to be opening up a pet care franchise, and there's numerous franchises out there.
Yep.
And once again, remember the FDD, so what the company's average is of what, or the average, what the average volume is coming in. So you'll take that, and then you can actually, now this is this is what they're making, and you have enough information to know that, okay, this is what my profit that I'm going to get, for this business for a year.
Mm.
Now you have to take that portfolio and you have to go backwards with it. You have to go, okay, so let's the revenue was $1 million. Now you have to go back to 900,000, 800,000, 700,000, 600,000, and you got to follow that same expense category, percentage-wise throughout all of those sales volumes until you get to a point where you're even. In other words, you're not making any money.
Right, yeah.
That is, now you know what your break-even point. I have to do $500,000. I'm just throwing this out there,
Right.
$500,000 worth of sales just not to go in the red.
Mm.
So, so that's important, and that is, in a lot of cases, you're going to have these financials put in place because the banks are going to require that. They're going to want to know what is in a lot of cases, the banks don't want to hear this, but you need to know in your business plan, what is my exit plan if things don't work? Now, let's go positive for a minute here, because there's a lot of successes in this business as well. So let's say you, for instance, I had a friend that opened up a McDonald's, roughly now, it's been about 20 years, and he's a well-known franchisee now. I think he has like 30 McDonald's now.
Oh, nice.
And he is a multi-millionaire. And, and so, and his first location just popped. I mean, ground up McDonald's just popped. Now, of course, and I can, I know some individuals, even with churches, Church's Chicken. I know an individual right now that out of Dallas, and he has over 100 of those locations, and he's a multi-millionaire.
Nice.
So, it's definitely possible. You just have to put a lot of time and energy and really understanding that franchisor, that this type of company and that they have, and if you partner up with them, can I become a multi-millionaire?
Right.
And there should be a good percentage of their owners that should be doing well. I do want to say one thing too, Jamie, that I did. I want to go back to the FDD, and this is something that I always bring folks back to.
Okay. In
that report, for every franchisor, it will list anything that in their past, any litigations, bankruptcies. It's going to list all their fees, estimated initial investment. Remember earlier I talked about restrictions?
Yep.
It's going to list all those restrictions. It's going to be in that FDD. It's your obligations to them, the territories, everything in their trademarks, financial performance presentation. So there's probably anywhere from 1 to 50 items within that FDD. And if you just spend your time on that right there is enough to tell you that this is the organization I want to work with. I wanted to throw that back in there for you.
Okay. That makes sense. Because you want to, like you said, you want to know what you're getting into.
Yes, sir.
And that'll definitely tell you that. But that's pretty that's pretty interesting with the whole your friends on the positive note piece. What I did want to ask, kind of moving a little bit further, is when we're talking about how much money it takes to start these businesses. Is that including things such as you're paying your employees, you're paying for, let's say, like the fries and whatnot and all that stuff? Does that include that as well?
Well, I think the question that you're asking me is that when you're putting together your budget of opening this business up, the answer is yes. You will have that in there because you're going to have what you call, if it's a new business, you're going to have a training budget. You're going to have your initial investment for your inventory, your supplies, things that you're going to need. So the answer to that is yes. But once you get out of that, now you're actually an operating business. Answer is no. Now it's on basically whatever revenue that you're bringing in. Obviously,
Right.
This is where you hear a lot of folks don't understand that you need to have. You've probably heard this before. You need to have a 6-month to a year supply in hand of personal money put aside, because you're not going to be taking anything out of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just don't know, because you're establishing, your business. Now, with this said, there are a lot of franchises that you can get into out there that is not going to take large franchise investments, and I call it the service franchise world. Now, the brick and mortar world, that's the restaurant business. That's the Panera Bread or the Taco Bells, or hotels or Walmarts. And, I'm sorry, not Walmart, but Walgreens. Different places like that. Okay, you need to be a baller to be within that world. But there are a lot of service things that you can get into that I talk to folks about when they come to me. And I tell them, I said, once again, earlier, I talked about what do you love? And that's the thing. What do you love, or what are you good at? And, I like the pet care industry. There is a lot of pet care franchise programs out there, for grooming, where you go to your customer's home with your grooming kits. They even have one out there. It's what do they call it? I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was interesting. I was talking with someone about it the other day. It's where you would go in and you would clean up, the dog waste or the poop in people's their backyards or whatever. And there's actually people that pay for that. And there's actually franchise Azores out there that actually have a business. Personal training. There's a lot of companies, for personal training. So if you're into that whole workout industry, that might be something for you.
Yeah, you said lawn care.
Lawn care. Let's see. There's another one. If I remember, a Christmas decorations. You probably heard of that, where they go in and they decorate people's homes. Oh, you haven't?
Christmas decorations. That's interesting. I wonder what they.
Yeah, they go in.
That's interesting.
There's actually multiple companies that have that now. They go in and they do office buildings, they do residentials. They go in and they do the whole works. They come in and they actually clean up after the season is over with.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, there's another one out there. If I remember, it's college students. You probably heard about the college students.
The college Hulk. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, college hunks, junk or something like that.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. They started that out quite a few years ago, and matter of fact, I think they were featured on some franchise program. And what they do is they go in, but here's the good part of it: all the junk, a lot of this stuff is good, and then they actually salvage, a lot of that stuff. And then, and this is something that I college students are really into this right now, especially ones that are trying to start a business, and it's the Merry Maids. I heard of some college students actually in California. They got together, and they got. Somehow they got the money together, and then they got a Merry Maids a franchise, and then they all work together around their schedules, actually going out and cleaning homes. Yeah. And so if you want to build to something big, maybe you want to start with something that and something small, and build that into something where you start to create the cash flow and start to create the wealth. Then you can move that into some of the other larger, franchise programs.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty. Those are pretty interesting. What are some of the keys to success or running a successful franchise, from your experience? And with that being said, what are some of the pitfalls that you've seen after you get?
Yeah, well, I think just starting off with some of the pitfalls is just not committing to what you're getting into. It's always exciting. Everything always looks good,
Of
and looking
course,
through the window,
of course.
right? But once you get in there, once earlier I talked about, you're going to put in a lot of hours. You're going to put in a lot of time. When you're seeing your neighbors, heading out to the lake or heading out to the beach, and you're going to be going to your business. These are just the commitments. I think in the long run, you're going to come out on head because you're built a successful business, and now you're going to have time to take that European vacation now because you built your company. But it's going to take a while, to get to that. To me, and it's just the right frame of mind. You're now an entrepreneur. You are not working for someone. And, so you need to be disciplined on your personal finances. You need to be disciplined on your time. You have to be, you have to be committed to that brand. This is the other thing, that, I tell folks all the time. Remember, when you become a franchisee, you got a partner. And that partner is telling you basically how you're going to run your business.
Right.
So even though you're saying that you're the boss, okay, you're the boss on the day-to-day. But at the end of the time, when that franchise rep shows up at your front door, they're going to have a checklist and they're going to have an audit. And they're going to audit your business. And you have to be within the guidelines. Because if you're not within the guidelines, a couple things can happen. One, you could be, you can be in jeopardy of losing your franchise agreement, or they could force you to sell. So, remember, you have a partner, and there's been many of franchisees that have came in with, they have the big head. They're going to come in there, I'm the boss. Mm-hmm. And, they learn in time that they're not the boss. The person that owns the franchise organization, the franchisor, they're the boss. And it's not that big of a deal. Once again, it's all into what your frame of mind is going to be about when you go into this business. And you have the right frame of mind, you got the right commitment level, you're going to be fine. Yeah. You're going to do just fine, but you have to have an understanding that you have a partner.
Yep. Yeah. I think the key, that's the key, the partner. And they expect, since they're giving you all of these great things, such as their branding, as well as, some of the resources that they're, investing in you, they expect some things as well. So that completely makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
One other thing too, Jamie, I just want to point out that, we're talking about franchising, but sometimes you have such a great idea out there, and it's best to give it a shot of your own program. Remember, you don't have a partner. The only thing is you don't have a proven system that works. But if you're experienced, and let's say you have worked in the industry for a long time of something, let's say you've been in, retail business of drugstores for many years, or you've been in, maybe you yourself can go out there on your own. So I'm just throwing that out there. Sometimes the franchise program is, I think, a great option. I believe in it. I've been a franchisee myself before, and I'm working with a franchise group right now. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's best to go out there and give it a shot on your own. So always keep that in mind.
Yeah, makes sense. Never, turn down an option. But one more question, and this is called Global Diversity News. So I did want to ask a couple questions when it comes to I don't know how you feel or what you've seen with minority investors or women investors in franchisees, as well as some of the locations. So any tips for the Black, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, etc., or women that are looking to get into this?
Well, Well, the good thing is mainstream, franchisors they don't look at color.
Mm-hmm.
They look at your,
Look at
they look
green.
at your portfolio.
Yeah.
Agree. There actually is these franchise orders are always courting. They actually know where the money is. In other words, they're looking at ball players that are coming out of college. They're looking at executives already within their industry, trying to get them to become franchisees. That part I'm not so concerned about. What I am concerned about is that sometimes a minority believes that they're going to be successful in certain areas because of their nationality. Let's say you're Afro American. Well, I want to go in and go right in the middle of an Afro American community. That's fine and that's well, but they can go to Beverly Hills too, or they can go to wherever. They're not limited. What they are limited to is what is left on the franchisor's development areas. Now that's what the problem is. You want to become a McDonald's franchisee.
Right.
So what is open? I guarantee you the inner city is pretty much locked down across America with McDonald's. You're not going to get in because, you can make some good money. People don't realize you can make some good money in urban environments.
That's a good point.
You can buy an existing, but to build ground up is going to be hard. So, so the franchise world, when it comes to diversity, other than, I do have my concerns about, the corporate side, working within the corporation. That's a whole different show we can do another time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But, within being a franchisor, I think you're fine. I think, that really has nothing to do with it. I know a gentleman that I've been talking to right now, and he can't even speak English. He's from China, and he's getting into a major franchise program right now. So, but he had a nice portfolio, obviously.
I mean, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. But okay, yeah. So definitely, so that's really interesting, and I definitely want to follow up on that last comment. So franchisees, courting athletes, which I can't blame them. That's probably a very excellent idea. As well as as well as executives. So okay, so if you're looking to start a business, you really don't have to worry about that. All you really need to worry about is the location, because as we know, location is the key to success.
Location.
Yep, as well as development and whatnot. Okay. Anything else you want to add to it? Because this has been a really good conversation. Excuse me.
Great. Well, I have to always take it to the people part of the business. Let's say you have the money, you have the means, you've already been approved to be a franchisee, by the enterprise that you're trying to become a franchisee for. But it all comes down to the staff. Yep. And I do recommend that that you don't go in there thinking that you're going to go through an 8-week training, that you're going to come out and you're going to be successful. Now, if you've been in that particular industry, a good a percentage of your career, then that's different. But if you're new to that industry, you need to partner yourself up with a great manager or a general manager or someone. And in a lot of cases, you're going to want to give them a piece of the business. And we call that the 10% piece of the pie. In other words, you're bringing experience to the business, you're going to get 10% of the business. It's smart. Most franchisors require you to have an experienced person with you. Okay. Unless you have the experience, and they do require you to give them a certain percentage of the business.
Gotcha. Do they help you
and the reason why
anyone like that? Do the franchisors?
Yes, they do. Actually, they do. Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of them, have a list of folks that are within the organization that are available for you to partner up with, and they will help you out with that. And then, of course, too, there is a lot of recruiters out there that's just for that particular industry. of resumes of talented people out there that has been vetted that you can bring on as a partner. Remember, you want to be successful,
Yep.
and you need to surround yourself with the right staff, and then of course too, and you want to have the right training. In other words, the franchisor is going to require you to go through a certain amount of their training, but it does not stop there. You need to even take yourself through more training when it comes to like how to market the business, how to be involved in the community,
Mm-hmm.
all those different attributes that's going to help you win and be successful.
Mm-hmm. I like that last point, being involved in the community. So wherever you're at,
Oh,
that's
oh yes, it's a well known. And I've done it over and over, for years within particular businesses in different communities that the sales were down, and I was able to coach general managers and district managers and how to get out into the community and work the community, and they literally will wipe that loss or that 10% down in business and turn it into a positive business.
oh wow.
You have to be a part of the community. Oh yes, you have to.
Wow, that's a big jump. But yeah, okay, that's interesting. Another little tidbit that you don't really think about. Uh, One of the keys to success. So that's I appreciate that. I appreciate that info. But and as
Sure.
well as this entire conversation and interview. I know you just hopped off a plane um the other day.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. So I really appreciate that, Mario. Well, that's pretty much it from me. Do you have any additional information? I know you said you're gonna shoot me the possible franchisee
Yes,
opportunities, but
yes, I will. I will get that over to you. I will get something over to you for you can have regarding the FDD. For the companies, I think that is really important. But I just want to just share this with your audience.
yep.
Um, Success is really up to the individual. How much time and passion that you want to put into what you want to do for your career or your future. And too many times when I talk to individuals, and I will help them, and I will give them lay it out to them, help them with their business plans, but then there's just not a lot of follow up after that. I have known individuals that I have actually told them not to go in a certain direction just from my experience into a certain business, and they did it anyway. And then obviously there have been some failures sometime in most cases along the way. So find yourself a good coach. Find someone that will be honest with you, not make you feel good. No, be honest with you, give you the pros and the cons of the business. I think that is critical. And do your homework, study that FBD, and I think you will have all the information that you're going to need to move on to the next part of the plan, and that is, finding that right company to partner up with, and then, of course, going through all of your different due diligence parts of the business to open up a franchise. And with that, I have really, really enjoyed your questions. I enjoyed your show. And I just want to thank you.
Yeah, and thank you as well. I appreciate that. So, Mario Lee, again, one more time, thanks. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to contact us. So, it's Global Diversity News signing off. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Again, please like, subscribe, and comment on the podcast. And check us out at globaldiversitynews.com. Take care.